Progressive Fort Lauderdale has proudly celebrated and courted the LGBTQ+ community for decades, welcoming more than 1.1 million LGBTQ+ visitors a year. Greater Fort Lauderdale comes from its inclusiveness naturally. The obvious product of such vibrant and diverse LGBTQ+ culture is the equally vibrant and diverse artistic creation and community, be it films, comedy, performances, music, the art of drag, or novels. You name it, our community has it. Today's guest is well known as an artist and comedian, Peter Bisuito. He is a respected name of the artistic South Florida LGBTQ+ community, and we welcome you to Unapologetically Queer. I'm your host, Al Ferguson, and I am proud to talk to some of the most interesting people of our LGBTQ+ community that are the most interesting to the LGBTQ+ community. This program is unique because it is an unedited conversation. At Hotspots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network, our mission is based on the 10 pillars of the LGBTQ+ community. We believe our history, and more importantly, our future, are based on the communities of Black LGBTQ+, Latino, lesbian and queer women, trans, students and youth, seniors, HIV/AIDS healthcare, business, social justice, and faith. Peter Bisuito's journey has been full of ups and downs, with exciting twists and turns. With all his talents, he is doing something new to his artistic resume: Filmmaker. The world movie premiere of I Remember, written and directed by Peter, will take place at the historic Savor Theater in Fort Lauderdale on Thursday, July 20th at 7 p.m. And so let's get right to it. Welcome, Peter Bisuito. And first off, I understand you are unapologetically queer.
I am. I'm unapologetically for anything.
Yes, but especially queer.
Yes.
I've heard from many sources.
Heard and seen.
And seen. Well, no, I'm still hoping to do that. All right, so talking about your journey, tell us about, first, before we get into the film, you're very well known about your brand, My Big Funny Peter. Now, I always laugh about that because I'm trying to decide what the big is all about and why is that funny and what is Peter really trying to tell us?
I'm big, I'm funny, my name is Peter. I don't know what else you're thinking about.
Okay, all right. So tell me about the brand. That's how you market yourself. You principally known for your comedy, stand-up, other kinds of things. But tell us about your brand in general. What do you like to do?
Well, I mean, I started stand-up comedy 12 years ago. I was 41 years old, and my very first show I performed, I named it My Big Funny Peter. And people just thought that was the funniest name in the world. So it just kind of stuck. So I just kept using it, and then I got the website, and now I'm My Big Funny Peter.
Yeah. We know each other. You've done It's Happening Out, and you're an anchor at Queer News Tonight, and I've seen you in so many different kinds of illustrations of artistic endeavors you've done in community. It seems to me that you're living the dream that you want. Is that true?
Oh my God, yes. Are you kidding? I never thought this would be possible for myself. Like, I grew up with very little self-esteem, you know, very like no self-confidence in myself whatsoever, you know. And although I've been performing since I was a teenager, I mean, I've always been entertaining audiences. I never really thought that I could make anything of it. You know, I never, you know, to me it was just a hobby, certainly not worthy of anything else, you know. But I gotta say, moving to Fort Lauderdale 8 years ago has just completely opened my mind. Ever since I moved to Fort Lauderdale, I have a whole different perspective on not only life, but on myself, you know. And I find myself consistently striving to do bigger and better things in my life. And that's exactly what I've been doing for the last 8 years.
Peter, a lot of people will listen to you and I wonder, I'll ask the question that perhaps they are, do you think that that's an LGBT, but specifically a gay man's thing, that we live in insecurity? Because that's what I hear you say.
Well, I'll tell you, I can't speak for anybody else. I can only speak for myself. But growing up in the 70s and the 80s, it certainly was not easy being a gay man, especially living, you know, I grew up in the suburbs in a very, you know, right-wing, upper-middle-class Republican. Well, no, my parents weren't really religious, but they were still right-wing, they were Republican, and it was still the suburbs. And, you know, the world just did a wonderful job at convincing me that I didn't matter because I was gay. you know. So I think, you know, it stems from that, growing up in the 70s. It's
What helped pull you through that? What helped change those insecurities in growing up in the suburbs and conservative environment around you? What helped change that?
my husband.
Well, explain that to me.
Well, I met him 21 years ago. We started dating 21 years ago. And I was sort of still coming out of the closet. I was 32 years old at the time, and I was still kind of, you know, I didn't know what the heck was going on in my life. But I met him, and he was never in the closet, you know what I mean? So he kind of opened my eyes to this whole gay world. He showed me that there's a place for me in this world, you know. I mean, he took me to my first gay pride parade. He took me to my first nude beach, my first gay nude beach. And it just kind of snowballed from there, you know.
And is this a good community for that? Because the first thing that popped into my head is Wilton Manors, Fort Lauderdale, South Florida, in that order. It can be a tough place for relationships. That's not been your story.
Well, no, because I met my husband 21 years ago when we lived in Buffalo. You know, here in Fort Lauderdale, I would imagine it's very difficult because there's just so many gay men here, and there's so many visitors that come from all over the world. It's a destination area. From what I see, people are always looking for the bigger, better deal. You know, they're.
You know, but before we get into the movie, one thing I do want to ask you about is you talk about the Republican suburbs in the 70s and 80s. I just want to call you out in terms of the politics. We would dream of those kind of Republicans today, wouldn't we?
We would what?
We would dream for those kind of Republicans in the 1970s.
Well, the thing is, like, I have the most wonderful parents in the world. My parents are the good Republicans. Yeah. They love people. They are so accepting of anybody, gay, straight, trans, whatever, black, white, any race. My parents are very accepting people, but they're Republicans.
When did the train go off the track for them? Not for your parents, but for the Republicans.
Oh my gosh, I think back in 2016, November.
Interesting. Well, let's talk about this new thing. So you've done comedy. I saw you tell a little bit about the sitcom that you did.
Oh gosh, well, you know, I wrote a sitcom in 2017. And I loved it so much. It was called Vent in Chester, and it took me 2 years, Al, to save up enough money to film it at a professional television studio, which we did, and we did it in front of a live studio audience. Yeah. And it went on to win, you know, the Festival Favorite Award at the Cinema Diverse Film Festival. It was a very promising project, but the pandemic shut it down. Yeah. Yeah. So
and it's interesting to me because I went to your launch. For it, and it had so much promise, and it looked so fun, and it was funny.
It was.
But pandemic really just changed everything, didn't it?
Well, yes, for good and bad, because when the sitcom was shut down, several months later, I made the decision to turn the script into a 2-act play, which I did. I spent 7 months rewriting the pilot episode into a 2-act play. And I got to say, the play is actually a hell of a lot better than the sitcom. And we performed it in December of 2021. It was a major success. We were getting standing
Manors.
Well, it was at Oakland Park, but we were getting standing ovations every night for 9 performances. It was an amazing show. It's my $1 million show. I know that show can go on to make a lot of money.
I continue to hear the gossip and rumors that it has legs, maybe to New York or other places.
I hope so. I need an investor.
Yeah, that's why I prompt you. Yes, and last thing before we jump into the movie, working independently it's a really tough gig, isn't it? Explain to people, it's not just talent. And talent's not always enough. It takes money to do it.
Well, I've been a one-man band up until this movie.
Yeah.
All of my projects that I've ever done, my sitcom, my play, my talk show, my stand-up comedy routines, I write, produce, direct, and star in it, and pay for it. You know, and I don't make a lot of money. You know, but this movie. For some reason, the gods were just shining down on it because I had a fundraiser last December. I've never had a fundraiser before for any of my projects.
Explain how that worked, by the way.
The fundraiser? I don't know. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I just put a fundraiser on Facebook, and my goal was $7,000, and I said to myself, I'll be lucky if I make $5,000. You know. Yeah. 4 months later, we raised over $25,000.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. It was just surreal. So the whole project just kind of, took a whole new higher form.
It was great for me because I went with Peter to Puerto Vallarta. We had a great week. Oh, wait, no, that's a different.
Yeah, that's what we use the money for.
Yeah, no, right, exactly. And I remember right after you seeing the success of basically a crowdfunding mechanism.
Yeah.
It wasn't that, but it was similar to that, of your surprise that people would step up and go, oh yeah, I want to be a part of that.
I was getting calls. People were throwing money at me, Al. Some of these people called me. I had no idea who they were. Yeah. None. They would call me and they'd say, I saw your fundraiser. I read the synopsis of the movie. It sounds so interesting. It's intriguing to me. It sounds like a winner. I would like to donate. And I was getting $1,000 from this one, $1,000, $2,000 from that one. I mean, and I don't even know these people.
Yeah. Wasn't that kind of a breath of fresh air to you that the community would stand up for you?
Oh my God, yeah. If someone was throwing money at you, wouldn't that be a breath of fresh air? Are you kidding me? It was amazing. I was so grateful.
One of our mutual friends, Cal Gajraj, hosted It's Happening Out. He has been an amazing cheerleader of this project.
Yes, he has.
Every time I see him, he slaps me and says, pay attention. Slaps me again and pay attention. And
he's a huge supporter of this film.
Yeah, it's great. Well, let's talk about it. It's coming up. Yeah. The world movie premiere. The film first is called I Remember. And of course, as we've said, it's written and directed and produced and lit and food craft service and etc. So all done by Peter.
He did everything.
And it's going to take place at the historic Savor Theater in Fort Lauderdale on Thursday, July 20th at 7 p.m. The premiere is basically sold out.
Almost.
You try to get some tickets. But before we start, let us show you a little preview of what you're going to see.
Hey everybody, you're not my type.
What is your type?
Certainly not this.
Hey, come on. Don't let that guy get you down. Just remember the old saying, beauty fades, dumb is forever. Judge Judy, I love her. Me too.
I'm Derek.
Hey, Derek. I'm Dom.
You are not only my soulmate, you're my savior. You literally saved my life. Do you know where Dom is? He's missing.
It's over.
No, it's not over. Dom, don't go. No! Do you know where he is? I don't know where he is! He's missing!
Derek, you have to remember.
What if I can't?
So how does that feel? I remember, and you're watching.
I know.
Wait,
every
I
time I see that trailer, I still get goosebumps. I do, even though I know the ending of the movie. I still get goosebumps.
Yeah, it's great for community because we constantly say the LGBTQ South Florida is a very unique community in the United States. We argue with New York and Los Angeles and San Francisco as the big metro communities comparable to South Florida, and then we argue with the Key West and the Palm Springs and the P towns in terms of our cultural diversity. But talk about that a moment of, oh wait, you're producing an independent film based and dominated from South Florida, and what that represents on our community.
Well, I don't know why anybody's arguing about anything. I mean, every city is
We're
different.
gay. We argue everything, as you know.
we're gay. We scratch each other's eyes out.
Yeah, that's that right.
I don't know. Like, there's so much arguing going on. It's like, yeah, cities are cities. Every city has its pros and cons. You know what I mean? And I just do what I do. I don't really care about what other people are doing or other cultures. I just do what I do, and hopefully, everybody will like it.
Yeah. So the film, independently produced. I remember. Tell us about the storyline. How we fall in love with.
Okay, first of all, this is a psychological drama. I have, I didn't, when I thought about doing this film, I didn't want it to be comedy because my entire life has been comedy, and I wanted to challenge myself. And trust me, there's a big old drama queen deep inside me just screaming to get out. So I wanted to do
By the
something.
way, I've seen that.
Yeah, I wanted to do something more dramatic, So I actually thought of the concept of this film back in 2016.
Oh.
But it just kind of sat on the back burner for
Was
many
that a
years.
significant time period in your life, or?
Well, you'll have to watch the movie and find out.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
I'll be at that premiere.
Okay.
So I will do
So,
that. And tell us about the story.
the story is about a man named Derek Dawson. He has a troubled past, and he's suffering from what's called repressed memory loss. Because he suffered a traumatic experience in his life. And because of that, he can't find his husband. His husband, Dom, is missing. And he doesn't remember where he is. Everybody else remembers where he is. But Derek does not. So the movie is basically his will to find his husband, even though he can't remember him. It's a pretty amazing concept.
And I'm curious, two men, it's a gay story, but does gay drive the film, or is just it just happens to be gay?
It just happened. This could easily be a straight couple,
Yeah.
or a trans couple, or whatever couple,
Yeah.
interracial couple.
And the construction of the film, it's a situation where you literally are touching every single component. I make the joke that you ran craft services for the film. I make the joke because literally it was all you.
Yeah. Well, luckily with the budget that I had, I was able to hire a movie company to come in and shoot it. So I didn't have to, shoot
about the
and act at the
camera
same
angle.
time,
Right.
And I also had an assistant.
Yeah. Oh,
I've
boy,
never had an
you've moved
assistant
to the
before.
big times.
I paid for an assistant. My husband was most grateful for my assistant. Otherwise, he would have had to do it. But she was awesome. She was a huge help, and it was so nice to have somebody there to, scream out orders to whenever I needed something. But yeah, everything else I did. I'm even editing the film. So
I'm curious in terms of directing and producing a film. You're executive producer. What would, after this experience and doing it the first time of a project like this, what would you do different next time?
Oh boy, what would I do different? Well, I would want to raise a little bit more money because even though we raised $25,000, that's not a lot of money if you really think about it, making a film. And this could have...
I've seen Mission Impossible and the $340 million that they spent. I realized.
Yeah, somebody please give me that budget.
Yeah.
So the shoot it should have been a 4-day shoot, but it was a 2-day shoot because I didn't have the budget for more days. So we literally worked 14-hour days, two days in a row.
Yeah.
So I guess what I would try to do different next time is raise a little bit more money so we can have more time shooting.
Yeah. Do you have another film in you?
My next project is going to be, you ready for this? It's going to be an elimination show. I have the most brilliant idea for an elimination show.
Oh, excellent. And,
Brilliant idea.
you're going to job it to Netflix, or you don't know
Well,
that?
I want to create a treatment episode first, and then shop it to the networks.
Yeah.
But it's never been done before, and the target audience is everybody. It's not just the gay community. It's straight, gay, young, old, any race. It's everybody. I'm really excited about it. It's a really great.
That sounds
great
fun.
idea. Yeah.
One of the things that I read about you, Peter, that I've never asked you about before, I read someplace that you called yourself annoying. Is that true? You're
I
annoying?
call myself everything. I don't know. Sometimes I can get kind of annoying.
Yeah. Do people?
I have
think
a
you're annoying?
very outgoing personality, and I'm very Italian, so I'm loud and I'm handsy, you know, and I'm a touchy-feely kind of guy, and you know, sometimes and I love to joke, you know, and I'm constantly saying jokes, and a lot of times I have to apologize to people because I will say something, you know, I'll say it before I think, and that puts a lot of people off, you know, and I understand, because there are people that are more outgoing than me that I look at and I'm like, gee, tone it down, girl. You know what I mean? So,
Are you unapologetic on that? Or,
sure I am.
you just move forward.
I'm just me.
If I make a mistake, well, I'm
Whoever
sorry.
wants to be in my orbit can certainly stay. Whoever wants to leave can certainly leave. I'm not going to change.
Yeah, and in addition to the sitcom and then the play and now the movie, I have seen you. I've seen you in Faye's bed, by the way. And,
Yes.
And you really haven't arrived until you've been in bed with Faye, or at least Faye requires me at happening.
She's interviewing me again
Yes.
next month.
Next
She's
month,
interviewing me
it's
again.
coming back. And I watched that when you were in bed with her and you were crocheting.
I was
the entire
crocheting.
time.
Yeah, my talk
Please
show.
explain that.
I miss my talk show so bad. After my
Pandemic.
play, yeah,
Yeah.
I decided to make myself the star of my own talk show. I thought that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So I came up with the most ridiculous idea for a talk show. It was called Ask a Naked Guy Crocheting. It's a late night talk show. I come out, I do stand-up comedy, I introduce my sidekick, we introduce a guest, we shoot the shit for a little while, we go to commercial break, we come back, I'm sitting in a recliner naked crocheting. Audience members ask me questions, and then we ask them trivia questions in return.
I gotta stop you. You're sitting in your recliner, naked,
Yeah,
crocheting.
crocheting like a
I've
scarf.
never, in my long storied, hopefully storied life, I've never heard those words constructed exactly like that.
Well, let me tell you something. It's the most ridiculous show, but the hilarity of the show was driving in people by the hundreds.
Yeah.
We had I'm not exaggerating. People weren't just laughing, they were falling out of their seats laughing. It was such a funny show, and I want to bring it back. It went on hiatus because I started working on the movie. I remember. So it kind of went on hiatus for a little while.
Yeah.
Once the movie
Oh,
was
it's going to come back?
I would love for it to come back.
Yeah.
I had so much fun with that.
Now, the $10,000 or the $25,000 for the next project, the $25,000 question is, why would this big, burly, muscle guy crochet?
Why not?
One more time. Why would this big muscle guy crochet? What?
So,
how did you get into
my grandmother taught me when I was 5 years old.
Your
She
grandmother
taught
was
me.
70.
Yeah.
You're not a woman and 70.
So I know.
Or
but,
a grandmother.
Well, during the pandemic, when everything was shut down, I'm sitting on my recliner and I'm crocheting and I'm watching TV. And I'm like, what the hell am I going to do for the next 5 months for this quarantine? I'm like, I should just start my own
You picked up a
talk
hobby.
show. I'm like,
and the
yeah,
talk
let's.
show.
And I'm just like, wow, let's make a show of me crocheting naked, you know? And it just kind of snowballed from there. It's a fun
The
show.
number one thing that, because you've come up in many conversations with friends of mine about the crocheting, and
Yeah.
the thing you did with Faye in bed was really entertaining. The number one question about your crocheting is, do you crochet something that is for penile implementation?
Well, I could.
Do you do that? Or
I haven't, but I
you
could.
haven't done it. Okay. What's the number one thing people want you to crochet?
Scarves and hats. That's really all I crochet,
Yeah,
scarves and hats.
scarves and hats.
Yeah.
Both of which are so critically important in Fort Lauderdale. NRD.
Yeah, exactly. But
So
you
it
don't-
all makes perfect sense.
But you don't make any money off of it because, I mean, how much can you sell a scarf for? Seriously, like,
Yeah.
you know, and those scarves literally take 7 to 8 hours to crochet. So if I'm selling them for $40, then you know that's like what, $5 an hour? Not even.
So it takes 7 to 8
Yeah, something like
hours
that.
to crochet a scarf.
Something
And
like that.
And this big burly muscle guy is doing this
Because people like you are talking about it,
exactly. Okay. Well,
and your friends.
There's the artistic creative guy going. Yeah,
I get people
this'll work."
talking.
Exactly.
That's what it's all about.
One other thing I have to seed in that I know about you is your step up in terms of animal cruelty issues. Tell us about what.
Well,
you're
that was one of the reasons why I created the talk show, the Naked Crocheting Show, because I used it to raise money for dog rescue. We were accepting donations, and my nonprofit organization of choice was a company called No Dogs Left Behind, and they rescue dogs from slaughterhouses in China. You know, because China, what we do to cows, pigs, and chickens here, they do to dogs over there, you know. So they rescue these dogs from these warehouses, and they rescue them off of trucks. And I have a thing for dogs, so. But, you know, what can we say? I mean, we're all kind of hypocrites, you know, because I just had some chicken last night. You know, it's like, you know, how could you get mad? It's just their culture, just like our culture is to eat chicken and, you know, and cows. But, I don't know, it's just, to me, it's just cruel. I don't want to see those dogs
But
suffer.
you stand up for the dogs.
Well, I've made a conscious effort to cut down on my meat consumption because of that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I was eating meat 2 or 3 times a day.
Yeah.
Now I'm only eating meat 2 or 3 times a week. I'm really trying to make a conscious effort to eat less meat, just because I don't like
The joke I'm formulating in my head, probably we're not talking about the same thing. So I'll just leave it. I'll just leave it there. Peter, what's the next big project for you going to be?
Well, like
actually
I said,
implement.
Well, like I said, the elimination show. I won't tell you what it is, but it's a brilliant show. I told my husband about it.
And you're actively going to start working on that project.
I have.
Yeah.
I got to raise some money first.
Yeah. But you go to crowdsource, so you go to Facebook and say, "Hey, I'm back." And
Well,
and
I'm
off we're
hoping.
off.
I'm hoping this movie, I remember, will be the movie will be exposed to the right people.
Yeah.
Who will.
Different things, I'm curious, Peter, curiosity for me, the different things that you've done in the time that I've known. Comedy, you've hosted in bars, so you're a host. You do the stand-up, you write the sitcom, the film, you crochet, and the different things you do. Do you have an absolute, this is the favorite thing that I've ever done?
My talk show, I got to say, with all the stuff that I've done, my crochet talk show is probably the most fun I've ever had.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
you've got to bring that back then.
I have to find a space that has projection, but I'm going to work on it once the movie is over. Because once the movie is over, I'm going to be entering it in as many film festivals all over the world as I possibly can. You know, especially the big ones, Sundance and the Toronto.
Right. We do a lot of work with Outshine Film Festival.
Yeah, you know,
it's the absolute best way to create visibility for independent film.
I talked to them at the Gay Pride Parade last month, and I told them about my movie. I forgot her name. Alexis, I think her name.
Alexis.
Yeah. And she said, "Yeah, submit it." You know, so I'm going to as soon as the premiere is over.
Yeah, and going to be here in Fort Lauderdale. Excellent.
Yes.
Well, Peter Bisuito, we remind you of world premiere of I Remember Thursday, July 20th. Very few tickets remaining.
I got 15, I think. We have 15 left.
And tickets are available. Go to Peter's site. My big, I was going to say big fat. No, I'm thinking Greek wedding. My big funny. You're not fat. My big funny Peter.com, and it has a / for the film. But go to his website. That's where to learn about everything related to Peter. And of course, you want to follow him. There's lots of very funny things and lots of interesting things. Facebook and TikTok, all over the place.
My TikTok videos are fun.
Yeah, and they're fun. You're excited? This is the week of the
Oh boy,
launch.
very excited. There's so much more work to do though before next Thursday. So
yeah.
I'm doing the job of like 20 people right now.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's what independent
I'm
film
loving
is
it.
all about.
I'm not complaining.
You know, you get to hone skills.
I'm loving the process.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So, Peter Bisuito, thank you very much for being with us today on Unapologetically.
Thank you, Al. Appreciate it. Good to see you again.
You too.